Okay, well today, you can't see what's going on because this isn't the start of it, but today is the half marathon for 2009, the Carrefour half marathon, and I'm 2 kilometers into the track starting instead of at the beginning, so that I don't have to get, I get the chance of walking. I want to walk the half marathon today. I'm not in a position to run it. It's going to be hard enough walking it when I haven't walked for such a long time, but it starts in 1 minute's time. About 2 kilometers back round the course there, but I don't want to. I'm not an official. I haven't got a number on. See, no number on me today. Just the only thing is I'm a little bit sporty down the bottom there, but I've got no official number. What I'm going to do is I've started here at this corner, Świętokrzyska Róg Marszałkowska, as they call it. And the runners are going to come past me in about, well, I don't know, 10 minutes time, I suppose. Or 15. I get a bit of a head start. That way I can film every runner coming past me, all the main ones, which you can't really do if you take part in it from the beginning. And also I get to have a clearer walk at it, because otherwise you'll be through all the people cheering. I'll have bits of that anyway, but just not at the start. I'll be able to time myself. I'm going to start at exactly 10 o'clock, and I'll put those 2 kilometers on. I'll come round the route that they would have gone at the beginning of the marathon. I'll go around to the end, and then I'll do the extra 2, and that'll be my end of the marathon. And oh yes, it's just started, so I'm just started. It's just 10 o'clock now, so we're starting. It's 10 o'clock and 8 seconds right now, so it started while I was talking. I've been informed that to walk, I'm just going to do it. I don't have any particular deadline. The deadline for the half marathon is 4 hours, and as you know, a half marathon is 21 point something kilometers. I did one in 5 hours when I was already quite fit. I was fatter than I am now, but this time last year, but by about 4 kilometers, 4 or 5 kilometers. Kilograms, sorry. I had also been doing a lot more walking last winter than I've been able to do this winter, because it's been so wet and foul the whole time. Whereas I was in Turkey a lot last year. I'm walking around quite a lot more before the time of doing that particular piece of walking, like 2021. It killed me. I've done much longer walks since, but basically, it's just going to see, can I do it in 5 hours? Whichever way I'm going to do it, even if it takes me 6 hours. But the question is, can I beat last year's record? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a half marathon, just slightly adjusted at the bit that they do at the beginning. I'll do at the end, as I say. And when the runners start coming past me, I'll switch the camera on and have a record of the actual half marathon for you to enjoy, as well as having you partake in my very limited sporting, hopefully, success. Hopefully I make it. Well, one way or another, I do intend to do those 21 kilometers, so even if I have to limp it. So I'll set off at a fairly brisk walk. I've been informed by somebody in Hemel Hempstead who gave me some sporting instruction that you don't really need a big warm-up to go into walking. Walking is more the warm-up for other kinds of exercises. So he says that walking is a fairly gentle exercise. You don't need to necessarily do all the warms up, and he says also don't stretch on unwarmed muscles. So I might do some stretching after about half an hour or something, but I haven't really done that at the beginning. I've just started walking. He actually says, in his view, that's the best thing. So, anybody with contrary advice to that, by all means write it in the comments. What's your walking warm-up procedure? How do you go about it? What do you think could be done to improve doing what I'm doing right at the moment? Obviously I know what needs to be done to improve it. Mainly I need to lose another 20-30 kilograms, but that's just too obvious to say. You can say it if you want to, it doesn't bother me, I know it. But I've had it said to me in much less flattering ways than that. You need to lose to about 30 kilograms. I can assure you that there are very many imaginative ways to tell somebody they need to lose 30 kilograms. It's probably one of the areas in which people's imaginations really work additionally hard. So at this point, according to the map, we're turning back along here. So the marathon runs down, and I remember running this last year, Królewna. As it starts to get confusing at the beginning, that's the point at which other runners will be, or other runners, the real runners I should say, will be going past me. So that should also help me make sure that I'm on the track, which is official. So 5 minutes and 42 seconds into the film, about 5 minutes into this marathon, and obviously the further I go, the longer it is before the real runners catch up with me. So it's almost a little bit like the tortoise and the hare here, with the slight difference that the tortoise wins and the hare doesn't. Whereas today the tortoise ain't going to win, but he'll get in there anyway one way or another. I mean, I'll win the satisfaction of doing it. How about that, if I do it? If I don't, well, you'll know, because it won't be on the film. Well, over there we've got the first cars, making sure that everything's nice and clear. They're the police and the organisers. The guy in the little quad vehicle there is sitting in the back taking photographs of the first people. The first people are coming up behind me now. We've got some Africans there that have come as guests for this. I'm going to walk backwards so that we can see it nicely. I'm still walking, but 7 minutes and 41 seconds the whole time they're showing the You're supposed to show appreciation at marathons, but nobody else seems to be doing it. So that was a sort of group of more professional runners. And also the other reason why there's a bit of a gap now is that they're let out about a minute before everybody else, because they're the real sort of Olympians who come here. They're known. I mean, anybody who knows these things will probably recognise their faces. Whereas these are probably the first of the... Well done! They're the first ones out of the local group. The ones that are not known runners. I can't film and clap at the same time. I ought to make sort of tunes. I don't really hear anybody else doing it, that's the point. It does make you spit sometimes. These are very impressive. This is 3 kilometres in. And they've done that after only about 8 minutes of it. So it's quite a rate. I'd love to be able to run like that, wouldn't you? Or maybe some of you can who are watching this. But you have to learn, as the proverb goes, to walk before you can run, and so and of course they get taken past very interesting things. Quite a lot of people at this photo call here. You shouldn't cross the road while they're running on it, so I'm going to go the long way around, which compensates for any road crossings that I have to do to make it more comfortable walking when I'm not in the race. I mean, maybe at some point in it I'll be able to use the road anyway, but right now when I've got the main competitors going it would be in bad form. And then after the main competitors have gone by, they don't take time. They don't last long before they want to clear it all up. That's for sure. Oh, over there they've got the old music. There's a lot of people doing it. You can see the snake around all the way around there. I'm going to keep filming it until everyone's gone by, just so you can see how much of it this is, how popular running is, how popular running a half marathon in a relatively cold country. We're talking about 10 degrees, but that's good. That's very good weather for running. 10 degrees. Look at this. You're going to see all of them go by, and if somebody wants to, they can go back through this in slow motion and count the number of participants running by me. I think I did it a good way, to be honest. I can imagine that by the end of the marathon, the piece at the end, which took them probably about 5 minutes to cover, where I was, where I took a little bit of a handicap at the start, I can imagine those 2 kilometres at the end will probably take me about half an hour or more, maybe 40 minutes or 50. Depends how much limping I am by then. We'll see. Well, this guy's losing his strategic position because of a shoelace. It's always something to look out for. On my running shoes I've got these shoelaces which are sort of a little bit profiled so that they don't fall out, and you need that on running shoes. He says, even though he can't run himself, he knows a little bit about it. I've got New Balance. Was that lady that spat then? I didn't think ladies did that. I haven't seen anyone I know yet amongst this lot. See, on a real marathon you get a lot more cheering going on. Most people are lined up clapping and that, whereas here people are just watching more, which actually I like better. If I found the cheering very very hard to take, being one of the last people. There's a nice piece of architecture there. One of the last people in the full marathon. All the cheering and clapping started to look a little bit ironic by the time it got around to my turn to receive it. People definitely know how to clap in a sarcastic way. Oh. I should not really be on this side of the line. I go before somebody tells me to. Thing is, when there's a line of runners like that, you never spot the people you know, or sometimes you do, but more often than not they just run past you. Somebody's walking around with a number on a pole. Not entirely sure what that is. That's the Opera House, in case you're wondering. This is an old town hall building. Quite a few English voices chatting to each other over there. So runners go from you know, it's like running tourism. These are not all Polish people. They might not even be necessarily. Even the majority. There might be a majority. I think they are in the majority, but there could be a very sizable contingent of touristic runners who, you know, in their magazines and what have you, and clubs all over Europe and even beyond Europe. I know that there are some Africans, Ethiopians, who come to this, certainly to the full marathon. And it's just a nice way to see a city. So this is some people's idea of a nice walk in a new city. People are trotting along at a nicely calm rate. Nice bit of clapping here. This is more the spirit of the thing. Wow. The occasional spit being heard, which is quite... Come on. People don't say much in the... And so far I haven't seen any drinks posts either put out. But that would be at 5 kilometres and we haven't got there yet. It's quite big, isn't it? Which just goes to show you don't get political demonstrations this big. Just goes to show people are far more ready to turn out and have some fun and look after themselves than they are to complain about what the government's doing. And I don't know, maybe that's a bad thing in a way, because it would be good to have a nice big procession like this telling Gordon Brown to resign, wouldn't it? At the same time, it's also nice to see that people are ready to come out at all and take part in big events like this, big running events. That girl's got a very big trumpet, and this guy's trying to compete with his little trumpet. On this corner I was filmed last year, coming down there, and you'll see me being filmed running around this as the last person with the police van behind me, coming around this corner and going up there. And oddly enough, the people at the end were getting a bit more applause than the people in the middle, because people always like that, either cheering the underdog or being a little bit ironic. I think I sensed bits of both. Oh, there's a guy in fancy dress, like in white feathers. Some people are already walking, but even when they're walking, they seem to be walking quite quickly. There's a guy walking, but he's still walking faster than I am. You can tell that he's going to be more in the end bunch if he does that. He's got that t-shirt on that says there is no finish line. I'm leaving this to show every runner, so you'll be able to watch this film until you've found yourself. And you can count, if you want to, if you're that zealous, how far down you were. As I've been filming unbrokenly for what's now 15 minutes, so every single runner, especially if you're dressed in something a little bit more unusual like that chicken man there, you should be able to see yourself. Oh, there's a hussar. A hussar and a Roman emperor. Yay! He's a Polish hussar and a Roman emperor, are both, or a Roman centurion or whatever, are both running side by side in fancy dress. Not that many fancy dress runners. Most people are taking it pretty seriously. Look, this guy's taking his kid round. He's got a running wózek, way of making sure your kid gets some nice fresh air. It's an interesting way of doing it. Whereas the average pram probably lasts for 3 or 4 different kiddies and gets handed on or sold second hand or whatever. I just think his little pram there probably would be able to use it up just with the walks that he takes. 26 or 21 kilometre walks, 26 mile walks during the course of that kid's infancy. There'd probably be enough to wear out your average pram, I should think, for somebody that runs seriously. Pushing a pram. So you see, at 17 minutes, a pretty much unbroken stream of people. At any given moment, there's an average of, well, how many people per second passing me over the course of 17 minutes. If I just count it now as a sample. Hi. If I count it now as a sample, to get to the top of the hour, top of the minute, so I can see the minutes on this, right, whereas you can't. That's a minute, that's 1 second. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, oh shit, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, oh no, it's far more. So within 10 seconds there we're over 20. So it's at least 2 people per second. That was too small a sample, but I've discovered that if I don't watch where I'm going, I fall down manholes. Some Warsaw church there, I think some kind of international Protestant arrangement. And now we're getting into the more, isn't it? So I wouldn't even say they were stragglers, because there's still quite a lot behind. It's big. quite vociferous support going on over there. I don't like this. So nice filming going on in the bike. That looks like something I would do. In fact, I have done. These guys are funnier than the runners. They're giving fives to the runners there in scout caps, which are very old-fashioned Polish scout caps. They look like something really out of the war period. And toggles like you used to wear when you were a scout. Toggles and what have you. Woggles or wiggles, I can't remember. They've got special words for everything. Because really what they are is little Freemasons in training. But they've all got their special grips and tokens in the scout movement, and dibs and dobs. Oh, I see we've got some people walking. The cars are actually trying to get down that way. That ain't going to work, mate. I'd forget it if I were you. Be silly. Going the wrong way down the bloody road. What are you doing? Oh, I suppose he's allowed to do that. There's a Chinese guy. The Chinese embassy is very close to here. I think they're about to go past it practically. So I've been inside the Chinese embassy. It's beautiful inside there. Another pram pushing runner. It's nice that you get the kid out as well. See my back, eat my dust. Haven't seen our Australian friend yet. He was supposed to be taking part in this. I'm going to get over here a bit more because there's a concentration there of people that want a bit more space. Very pleasant sound all these boots make running on the Oh, here comes the fish. I've seen this one before. He runs the whole way carrying that on him. Well, it's a crocodile rather than a fish, isn't it? At least if it rains, he's got something over him. People have a variety of facial expressions. Some people are running along with broad grins on their faces. I think I made this point at the end of the last marathon when I was filming the final bit. A lot of the time I'm not looking at the one I'm filming, I'm just walking along holding this up at the right angle, or roughly, hopefully the right angle. Not really looking into it, because I need to look where I'm going. If I look too far away from the road I might fall into another hole like I did a minute ago. But I did, I mean, I ran down here last year, so I'm still going at this point. So I started filming this bit here. I started filming 24 minutes, nearly 25 minutes ago, and for 25 minutes an unbroken stream of runners going by. It's that amazing manifestation we're now getting into. It's still as far back as I can see. You've got people now. We've got more people who, like me, are walking a bit of it, although they're only walking a bit of it. I'm walking all of it today. I'm not going to be tempted to try running. When I did the marathon failure that I did last year, I was 116 kilograms. I'm now 120. Well, I was 123 last weekend. I lost 2 kilos this week because I've just gone on my diet since my wife's birthday. Basically I'm now about 121, so she seems to be limping a little bit. I don't know whether she's going to make it that way, but basically just na KitKat. Okay. Basically, if I'm over 110 kilos, or until I get under 110 kilos on this diet, I'm not going to bother running. I did run, but it wasn't necessarily any quicker than I could walk, and all it was doing was adding stress and strain to my joints. I'd rather wait until I'm under 110 and then do proper running. Oh, here we go. We've got a Roman gladiator / mermaid. That is very original. Actually, what that is, that's the Warsaw symbol. The Syrenka. She's running as the Syrenka. How original. She's running as the Warsaw Syrenka. That is the symbol of Warsaw. The mermaid with the Roman net behind and the shield and the spear like a mermaid gladiator. And so I still haven't seen anybody I know. Go further to the left as there's a bit of a concentration of people wanting to run out on the left side. This is the biggest share of the film, but I want to save some back, so I have to keep watching and not do certainly not more than 40 minutes of this particular scene, unbroken scene, because I won't have enough left at the end. There's some nice support there. Whatever people may be suffering, it's nothing compared to what he suffered, that's for sure. And he didn't do it to work off his own sins of overeating. He did it to work off other people's. He didn't have any sins. There's the oh, what's the name of that football? It's not the Legia, because the Legia's in the other place, it's the other one. It's the other Warsaw. There are two Warsaw football grounds, Lech and Legia and this one. I'm trying to remember what the name of this football ground is, or the football club that plays here, and it's gone out of my head completely. So we're next to the last little bunch. I'm going to cross over to the pavement at this point, which I can do without disturbing any runners. That also gives me the chance to hold the camera in a different hand, but this one's getting a little bit stiff. Oh, that feels a lot better. I should have done it earlier. So you've got, I think this is really the, what we got now, 30 minutes of this particular unbroken clip. I did a short one of about 5 minutes long at the beginning. I think it was probably going to be about 35 minutes into the finished film. I try and always think, or I don't try and always think, that's why I sometimes do it too randomly, but I'm going to try and think of what the finished thing is going to look like this time. I've got an hour to on this camera, and these are the stragglers. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do every little straggler, because some of them are really now not going an awful lot quicker than I am. They shouldn't be coming off and cutting the corner like that either. They should be sticking to the road. I'm filming that because these guys are supposed to be official competitors. They should be sticking to the route, not going off like the side like that. That pink one with the long ponytail, she's honest, but the one next to her is not honest. And these look like organisers at the end there. Just, I can't really believe that these two that look as fit as you like are only running that slowly. They must be, yeah, I mean they've got Carrefour jumpers on. You get the odd volunteer who just goes along at the end. I know this because, as you know, I was at the end last year, I had volunteers around me, but then the volunteers don't hang with the very backest person because it's embarrassing, and so the ones that were around me at the back, they kind of went before me after a while, so that, you know, I didn't feel pressured in that. So these guys are close to the rear guard, but not hounding the complete rear players. I think they're doing it at the pace which will bring them there to the end at the 4 hours required to get the medal. That may be the idea of the way they're doing it exactly. They're probably pacing themselves so that they're doing it in a 4 hour period. Like I was going to say earlier, the facial expressions, they go from there we go, 5 kilometres. There's the 5 kilometre marker. So that's 3 as far as I'm concerned, because I started 2 in. By my calculations, it may be a little bit more or less than 2. So they have to go through that to get measured. As peeps measure them through, there's just 4 peeps there for the people, pardon the pun, peeps for the people. Oh, look at this, this is really good. This guy's doing it on crutches. You believe that? Fantastic, very good. There you go, he's on crutches and he's doing it faster than me. Isn't that remarkable? Now that's a hero. If you want a hero, there's one. I'm vexed with myself that I can't remember what the other football club was called in Warsaw. Legia, and it's P, something with P if I'm I just can't remember them. Little grey crow pecking away in there. So at the moment all we've got is walkers. So I think I've pretty much filmed the participation. Now the interesting thing will be how long it's possible to go through this and see something which is recognisably still marked off route. Because in my opinion they do like to clear the route and allow cars down it quite soon after the main runners are passed. So these guys, the guys at the end, and there's still quite a few of them. I'm still keeping this on for a minute or so. After 40 minutes I have to stop it. But there are still some behind me going back there. The guy with the crutches is now well ahead there, almost disappearing from view. We're now at the point where we will go over the Vistula River, and so that's usually not the easiest thing to do, but hopefully it'll be possible it'll still be marked off. Coming back along Świętokrzyski Most will be a lot easier. Hopefully it'll be possible to walk down it without fear of cars while I do it, as going down the side is a bit of a pain. There's a way of going underneath it where the trams go. They dip down and go underneath it, which is alright. That's the way you'd do it if you're walking, but you wouldn't be really able to film people running or walking the route when that happened. Okay, I'm not going to film for a moment because I don't think I've got any. So whoever was in this has now run past me. If some people from my firm were here, then what it means is that I haven't seen them. That's somebody from the Holmes Place Running Club, judging by the t-shirt. So some people like to run with their friends tied to them, and I think we've got a couple of people like that coming up behind. when I get to 40 minutes, I'm going to start using it very sparingly. That means I've only got a quarter of an hour left, so I'm only going to use little chunks after that. But I wanted to give a chance. These are the old guys coming along tied to each other. This is usually a sign of a long running friendship, as you run a marathon tied together by, or if not tied together, then at least holding the same ribbon, like these guys. And it's as I understand it, it's a sign of that you've been running, you know, a friend, a running mate or running friend of that person for a certain length of time. I think that's the symbol that represents, or the meaning of that symbol, I should say. And really, behind me, too few people to bother filming individually right now when I need to save something, so I'm going to do the rest of this just in small 1 minute chunks, so that you can see that I'm doing the whole thing without cheating on the one hand, and also a couple of, when I see anything worth showing you on the route, just briefly 1 minute chunks. Okay, a couple of minutes further on, we've got runners still on the bridge, some behind. You've got the bicycle rider. I don't think there's anything to do with it because he's just riding fast as usual, perhaps taking advantage of the fact that there's fairly cleared off road. And here's on the bridge. I decided to go down the narrow path at the side because there aren't a lot of people watching from here. Sometimes it gets very clogged up if there's a firework display. This is completely clogged up with people. It's difficult to walk past them, and sometimes you wonder how safe that is. In fact, you can fall over that side if you're not careful. There's a little patrol boat down there that would try and pick you up, but he's not normally there. You can see the speed of the current by the fact that these seagulls, little black-headed gulls down there, are going to hit the bridge, the point under the bridge, about the same time I do. The river is really going down there at walking pace, so like 4 kilometers an hour. So the water which we have here now could be in the sea in a couple of days' time, 3 or 4 days' time. That's a police patrol boat down there. And the view back onto the old town, which is where the close is, of course. And an elderly gentleman, still capable at his 90 years of age, beating me on a walk. He's got bandy legs, bless him, but he's there, he's waving his arms from side to side, in the way that I was taught to as well, but I don't bother usually. And he's going faster than I am. And the other thing is, let's not forget, he started 2 kilometers back from where I started, so I'm still relatively fresh. Whether he makes it or not, we'll see, because if he doesn't, I'll catch up with him. Hopefully. Although, to be honest, the way he's going right now, I think he will make it, you know. And there's still quite a few more back there. He's there, waving away. I don't know whether that's the Mog, the Australian. Might be. Similar sense of humour, but he's actually going barefoot. I don't know whether he's got whether this has some religious significance for him to do the half marathon barefoot, but we'll see him in a minute coming by. That's worth. Oh, here's number 6. That's like only 4 for me. But what's the time now? 55. I'd say a leisurely walk is 4 kilometers an hour, isn't it? I have to go faster than that to get in inside 5 though. I might have to start to put the old, somebody's lost their hat, put the old thingy on. Probably what will happen is I'll get into conversation with one of these stragglers later. The zoo is down on that side, by the way, of this bridge. Interesting barriers there making current. There's the completely, as you can see, untrammeled or channeled or whatever you want to call it, uncemented, unconcreted bank of the Vistula, the only capital city of the European Union which has an unchanneled bank of the river flowing through it. Most cities in Europe of over 1 million people have definitely kept their river, if there is one in it, well, there almost always is, kept it in check with concrete on both sides. Now there is on that side, as you see, but there isn't on this side. That's a completely natural bank. That's what the natural bank of a river looks like. So here's a gentleman and he's bleeding, and he's waving at everybody. So he's obviously interested in interested in toughening himself up by the looks of things. Now what's interesting for me here is that I need to know how they actually run around this corner and don't take any shortcuts, because there are shortcuts for going down there, but I want to see how the full version is, because when I do it myself on my practice walks and runs, I want to make sure I'm doing the official one and not the unofficial one, the one that's actually measured off by the committee and proven to be a full marathon, or half marathon as in this case. So that barefoot guy's sort of basically chatting to every single person he can find and making a right nuisance of himself probably, but there we are. You get these characters and it's just as well that you do. So this bit's the back of the zoo where they're walking down, and you got some Przewalski's wild horses there, which a Polish officer discovered, a type of wild horse. You can see them. I don't know why I'm stopping. Should not really brake. I don't want to brake step at all actually. And there's one of the water points where they give you a cup of water, which I'm not taking because I haven't paid my 55 zlotys, so I've got my own water. I think this is really for the people that have paid their 55 zlotys and got a number on. There's some yaks in there, if you want to see yaks without paying. Najwyższa jakość usług, yaks. And the keeper of the yaks is watching. For him the yaks aren't as interesting because he sees them every day, clears up their shit. Not as interesting as watching this shit clearance going on out here. The dumb thing is, you have to take a cup of water, drink it as you're running along without breaking step, get it all over yourself, and then throw the cup violently to one side. On the far side of the river there are the trees that make up that natural bank of the River Vistula, and of course where people say, well, where's the toilet on the marathon? What happens if you want to go to the toilet? Well, there's your answer. You see people going off onto the side there and getting all of the some animal braying its head off. There's some zebra down there. Oh, you've got zebras on the one side and people from Carrefour clearing up after the marathon. Carrefour have given their staff their checkout girls and everything today to and all that water as well to the cause of sport, developing brand loyalty in this country. This scene is worth filming actually, because this is this is probably the officially last people, him and him, with the ambulance going behind, like, and the bus to pick up the stragglers, as happened with me last year. So that's the official end of it all, when the ambulance comes by, and what they then do is they then say, "Have you had enough?" This guy's trying to run as he can, but he's in the position that I was in the main marathon. Again, after about the 8th kilometre, which is what we're getting onto now, I suppose. That's where I was picked up. So it's a different route though. I'm getting a distinct idea of deja vu. Again, this is exactly what happened, how I ended up getting off the marathon. The ambulance will come up next to me like that and try and say to me, advise me that there was no real point in continuing. Whereas, as you can see, the big advantage now is that because I'm just in civilians without a number and just walking along filming in a really casual way, like I was nothing to do with it, which I am effectively nothing to do with it, I'm just happened to be walking for 21 kilometres. It basically, it won't be long before they pretty much pressure that guy into coming off, and then the one in front of him and the one in front of him. There's nobody behind now, that's the end of it. This is the bus. Oh, there are some people that got picked up already. There's a couple of folk in there who've drinking away, who've found 8 kilometres a little bit too much. I'm glad there are some people out there less fit than me. Well, I'm not glad, they need to get fit like I do, but at least it means I'm not completely at the bottom. I hope I can be forgiven for that uncharitable thought. But basically that's what happens. You end up in that bus if you straggle too much and get pressured by the ambulance into coming off. Then, like me, 6 months ago, and hopefully not in 6 months' time, this is what I'm all about avoiding now, ending up in the bus of humiliation, with its darkened glass, so you can't see who's actually in it, which is a good thing. But that guy there, he's manfully struggling on and not allowing himself to be pressured, which is good. I probably allowed myself to be pressured too soon. I could have carried on a lot longer. After all, I was fitter then than I am now, and I don't think I'm going to have any problem actually walking 20. Well, I hope I'm not going to have. Obviously it isn't going to be easy, but I think I'm going to do it. I still think I'm going to do it. So it's good that he doesn't allow himself to be pushed in too early. Okay, there's the symbol of North Praga just going behind there, and the 8, and I'm still following the bus several minutes later. He's still not far ahead of me. I'm keeping him relatively in sight, coming along here towards the Świętokrzyski bridge, which we then cross. The queue of traffic down here, by the way, caused by the marathon, as Świętokrzyski bridge is the only way to cross the river, and the bridge we came across walking is the only way to get back on that side at the moment, especially as the so-called Śląsko-Dąbrowski most is actually being repaired at the moment. There's that statue of the soldier grasping out, carved from the rock there on that side. And right next to the wild bank of the Vistula there. There's an interesting thing up ahead there. The guy still hasn't, and he's got, according to the regulations, plenty of time. He's allowed to finish in 4 hours. He probably will if he keeps going. The he hasn't agreed to go on the stragglers bus in the way that I agreed to, so he's still fighting the guy in the red, and they've only gone and let the normal cars go while he's still fighting and struggling. Well, the marathon organisers have had the decency to basically drive two abreast and stop them, so the cars that they've now opened the road and allowed them to go down, they have to stop behind the ambulance and the stragglers bus while they respectfully allow that fighter to carry on. And that's what I like to see. On the one hand, they probably want him to get in the bus. On the other hand, they're not going to apply more than verbal persuasion. They're not going to force him off, and they are going to protect him as long as he carries on. If it becomes, physically impossible for him to complete it on time, then they'll say to him, the time's up, you'll have to come on. But that hasn't happened yet, even though they've allowed the cars to go on in a wrong way, in my opinion. So here we are. I've got a crow here for company, and this imposing sight is the Holy Cross Bridge, Most Świętokrzyski, still kept open, which is nice and respectful, although the stragglers bus is now a good 500 metres ahead of me, with the last guy still fighting on manfully. And you can see Stalin's building behind it, an icon of Warsaw. Again, here we see the bank with its giving over to the old town there on the far side of the river, and over there the train going across the train bridge to the central station over there. I have to admit, I'm actually very fond of Warsaw. It's got these great cycle paths as well. I said cycle paths, not psychopaths. They've probably got some of the latter too, but I'm more concerned with the cycle paths. And plenty of building going on, as you can see. Less now in the recession though, but still some interesting projects. Here in this park, with the monuments down there, which you probably can't see that well, and up there towards the Sheraton Hotel, back there you've got a group of helpers clearing away. You've got the SLD party headquarters here, the equivalent of the Labour Party, if you like, the Socialist Party. This is a lovely dendrological park up here, wieczosc or somebody like that. And there, on this green building here, is this lovely green building, is the place I lived before coming to my current flat. I didn't used to film in those days. I used to, well I did actually, but I only had a mini DV camera. I might have some film in there that one day I can transfer to this channel, but I haven't put any up so far. There have been compilations of photos that have included things from inside there, but basically that one there with the two satellite dishes, which I put there incidentally, that's where I used to live. Belongs to a gentleman called Roguski and his wife, and I've had worse, a lot worse, as landlords go. He's basically a very decent man, so somebody can say that about their landlord, it's not bad. So that's about halfway. This is halfway through the official half marathon, so it's a quarter marathon, slightly less than that for me. I have to say my shoes are already rubbing because I've got these. I don't normally use these, and I've barely used them, so that's causing me a lot of rubbing on the feet, which could cause trouble for today. Other than that, I haven't got any problems with this. I'm not tired at all, but legs not tired, back not tired, everything's fine. Only the feet are starting to play up something chronic because of the rubbing, and I'm not really sure what to do about it. This is the extreme south part of the half marathon, next to the new Legia ground getting built here. You've got Torval, which is the main skating area on that side. You've got The bridge over there is the major east-west road, if you like, and back there is Wiosenne Palace that I sometimes used to eat in when we had the office near to it. You've got Old Torvar and the newer Torvar building, all about sport, ice and what have you, and this is all about sport as well, sport and hooliganism, of course. So effectively this means that I'm halfway through my marathon. It's more than halfway on the official marathon, but I'm about halfway through, or getting on for halfway through. I've got my second half. These shoes are playing up something chronic. Other than that, I'm not that tired. So I discovered the only way of being able to know whether I'm fitter now than I am last year is simply to discount the fact that the boots are different and just go on regardless of the pain. I've been going for 12:20, so I've been going for 2 hours and 20 minutes. So I've decided to go for the 5 hours. If I don't make it, well then I stop short. And if I do it in 5 hours, well then I just I'll stop at the end of what I do at the place when I came in and see how much short of 5 hours I am, and that way I'll know whether I'm fitter or less fit than this time last year. But I'll just try and ignore the pain. So I'm going to listen to podcasts now, brought my podcast player with me, and I probably won't film again until close to the end, probably to the actual official end, and then again at my end. So there's like a kind of citadel thing on that side with the petrol station. This is the most northerly edge, just to prove that I'm doing it all. My feet are absolutely killing me. I'm going very slowly now. It's 13:32, and that building is the Polska Wytwórnia Papierów Wartościowych, which is where securities get printed, special money, paper, and also shares and things like that. They get security printing gets done in that building. So it's this is ulica Sanguszka, and Sanguszko, who lived from 1800 to 1881, was a political visionary. So there we are by the High Court again. There's an active remembrance going on with the Scouts around this war memorial here, standing in a ring and holding hands. Okay, the official race finished 15 minutes ago at 1400 hours. This is now 14:15, and there's the end of it. It's not my end. I have to add in the extra 2 kilometers to get back to the place where I started, which is a bit of a head start I gave myself for practical reasons, being outside the official run. So it's not my finish, but I've got another 2 kilometers to go after I've gone around the back of this end, or aim or objective or whatever they call it, the finishing line. So but that's the finishing line anyway. I'm going to go behind it and walk back to the place where I started it, and then it will be an exact half marathon. But the pain's excruciating. I did it, as I said, in 5 hours last year. The only way of being sure that I'm fitter this now than I was this time last year is to ignore the pain in my shoes, which is tremendous, and simply keep going for another 2 kilometers to get to the full half marathon walk today for me. Okay, I'm in my last 1% of this. My little counter here says that I've walked 28.48 kilometers instead of the 21.5 that it is, and it's certainly, or is it more than that? Yeah, it's 21 and a bit, isn't it? 21.2, 21.15. That's the thing. That's what I've walked, or nearly, when I get to the end of this bit. It feels certainly like 28 because of these. It feels like more because of these shoes not being the ones that I'm used to. But there's only one way of getting used to them, and that's to walk them in, and that's certainly what's happened today. I'm probably going to take me days for my feet to recover from the pain. Really days for this. I'm guessing 3 or 4. That's if I haven't actually really blistered them, and it feels like I've got a couple of blisters down there, and I'm walking on them anyway. But that's the worst thing. Other than that, I've got a slight pain at the bottom of the back, which would have been a year ago already after only 2 hours of walking. That came in the 3rd hour. The legs are holding up fairly well, other than the feet. And heart rate 138 at the moment. So it's after all that time, and I'm walking very, very slowly. The runners at the beginning, the ones that finished the marathon quickly, they would have been going at about 3 times quicker than my brisk walk at the beginning, and probably finished at about 4 times the speed of my relative hobble. Most people are walking down the street quicker than I am at the moment, but it's still quicker than a year ago. It's 14:43.49. I think all things told, it's 15 minutes less than the equivalent time last year for the same distance. So yes, I'm fitter than at this time last year. Not by much. I think it works out at about 5%. But the important thing is that this is really having done not an awful lot for the last few months because of the foulness of the winter, whereas last winter I'd done quite a bit before this equivalent exploit, and so therefore probably the innate fitness is quite a bit bigger than 5% difference, probably more like 10 or 15%. But it will only come out once I've got used to these shoes. Okay, here it is, there's the corner. It's 46 minutes 17 seconds. That's my time. 4 hours 46 minutes and 17 seconds for my half marathon this year. Within the 5 hours, that's good. And now there's the tram stop. I'm going home, and if I can't get a seat on the tram, I think I'll probably hang from the rafters in it. Oh, I can barely stand. That was really put me through my paces. It's all right except for the feet. That's it, I'm going home.